Welcome back to the channel. This is the Action Figure Grader, and last night, the very first session for Jeff Jacobs' collection closed over at Hakes. You may want to get your binoculars out. Because we're going to go whale watching. We're going whale watching. The prices were pretty insane for the most part. Not a lot of bargain deals out there, as there shouldn't be, quite honestly. There were some incredible high-grade items across the entire line of figures. I picked out a really big assortment, so this might be kind of a long video. Prices did not disappoint. And Hakes did a great job marketing the very first session. They have a collectors-friendly session next month in February. That'll be a mix of graded and ungraded items. And then I think in March will be part 2 for Jeff Jacobs' collection. I know that, I spoke with Alex Winter, the president over at Hakes, and he did mention that they're back to back to back, January, February, March. So I don't know if Jeff Jacobs is in March or not, but I know that the collector-friendly, maybe more reasonably priced, budget-friendly type items are in February. Also, I want to get this out here. Alex Winter, again, the president over at Hakes, he did comment on, to me privately, about my diamond distribution bankruptcy video. And he did disclose to me that Hakes is a subsidiary of Jeppy Family Enterprises. Okay, and we talked about the difference between a division and a subsidiary in that video. If you haven't watched it, you can go back and watch it. But, Hakes is not in any way affiliated or part of organizationally, legally, or anything else related to Diamond. They are a subsidiary, a separate subsidiary of Jeppy Family Enterprises. So it's business as usual over at Hakes. If you've got items to sell, I'm sure they would be happy to handle an auction for you for your collection. And they did, as I said, they did an incredible job in this auction. So we've got a lot to go through. I didn't include everything, but we did include a lot. We're going to start off with the double telescoping saber Obi-Wan Kenobi 12 back A, graded AFA 85. I think it's one of 2. Now, if you remember in my preview video, I said I wouldn't be surprised at all if this one hits $100,000. And they talked about a AFA 80 that sold for $76,000 back in 2017. A double telescoping AFA 90 Luke sold for $100,000 in June 2022. And this is just the 4th carded double telescoping specimen offered at auction. Their last one was an AFA 75 that sold for $79,000. I said I wouldn't be shocked at all if it hits $100,000, and it sure did. It hit after the buyer's premium. Okay, so all of these prices are after the buyer's premium of 18%, or you can pay by wire, bank wire, and get it for 15%. That's just for future reference. If you win any videos, you can reach out to them after the auction ends. Say, hey, I want to pay by bank wire. They'll cut off 3%. The 3% is just to cover the credit card fees. If you pay by credit card, it's 18% buyer's premium, and that's all of the prices I'm quoting in this video are including the 18% buyer's premium. But you can see there it sold for $105,000. Absolutely insane, but not terribly surprising, at least to me. This is one that was surprising. This was an AFA 85 dark blue dome R2-D2 with the SKU on the footer stand for a 12 back A. So this is the earliest of the early 12 backs for R2 with the dark blue dome. It was an AFA 85, and this, sold for $38,940. The value code was $5,000 to $10,000. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of world records for items in this auction. Obviously, I don't know all of the prices, but this has got to be a world record. Maybe there was another one that sold at Heritage or Golden or something like that, but $38,940. Is anybody here a marine biologist? Because we've got whales everywhere. Whales are everywhere in this auction. So $38,940. Absolutely insane on that one. This was that cool one. This is the white background Takara Darth Vader. And so it's got the Takara sculpt for the figure. It doesn't have like the Takara import sticker on the front, but you can see that the white background. This is a pretty famous Japanese Takara Darth Vader, and it includes obviously the alternate sculpt that was from the Takara factory. The value code was 5 to 10. It sold for $59.96. So they were pretty close on that one in terms of the low value code estimate. This was an AFA 80, and not terribly surprising again on that one as well. That's maybe a little more than I was expecting. I was expecting in that 4 to 5 range, if memory serves, but a lot of these did go for well above market value. And speaking of above market value, wow, this price has got to be a record. This was an AFA 85 for the Cantina Adventure set. Now, these obviously include the baggies for the Blue Snaggletooth, Greedo, Hammerhead, and Walrus Man, the SWC baggies, and only 5 examples in an AFA 85 grade. They had the value code at 10 to 20. It sold for $27,258. That blows away any expectations I had. I thought 10 to 20 was too high. I thought there's no way it would get that high. And that just shows you that Hakes really knows the high end of the market. When it comes to the value codes, they, in general, I don't always agree with their value codes. And I didn't on this one. I didn't think it would hit 10. I got to be honest with you. I didn't think it would hit 10. So, I don't know the upper end of the market like I probably should, just given all of the market updates that I do. But this is, almost all of these items, they play in a different income bracket, okay? They sneeze out $100 bills. The people that buy this stuff have more money in their couch cushions than I am worth personally, okay? So it was a pretty incredible auction, and the guys over at 5 Idiots Talking Toys did a spreadsheet, and they estimated that just in this session, it was around $1.4 million of items that sold, and based on the final closed sales prices. Hakes always comes out with their kind of announcement, letting everyone know just how much sold in this session. It hasn't come out yet, but the 5 Idiots Talking Toys, who, shameless plug, I'm going to be on their channel on Sunday evening at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, along with Ross Barr, one of the co-owners of Collector Archive Services, and then obviously the fellows from 5 Idiots Talking Toys. I'm sure we're going to be talking about the Diamond Distribution bankruptcy. We're going to be talking about this session in more detail. Would love to hear from Ross as to Ross knows the upper end of the market way better than I do, okay? And his collection blows mine away. He's bought and sold his collection so many times and rebought and changed his focuses. I guarantee you that his collection makes mine look like kiddie school, okay? So I'm sure he's going to have lots of thoughts on these items. He's also one of the admins in the Star Wars 12-back groups, so I'm sure that he really knows this stuff inside and out versus what I know. And so we'll have a good time. I'm sure that we'll be dogging each other. Everyone's going to be making fun of my lack of hair, I'm sure, along with anything else. I mean, I've got plenty of stuff that you can make fun of me for, but it'll be a fun time. There'll be commenting, live chat, things like that. So I hope that you'll tune in over there. Sunday evening, 9 p.m. Next up, we've got, this is another one that, it's not particularly rare, but it was high grade, straight 85s for a 21-back B Power Droid. The value code was 2 to 5. I saw, I was like, okay, maybe 2. Maybe 2. It sold for $45.43 for the Power Droid, AFA 85, 21-back B. And again, it could be because it's 21B, 21A, 21B. I don't know the differentiation as to which characters were more common on those card backs. So that could play a factor. Is that the 21A, which you usually see for like R5-D4 and Power Droid, maybe the 21B is maybe a little tougher to find. I don't know. But, when it comes to high-grade stuff like this, when I have a price in mind for an AFA 80, which for a 21B Power Droid, in my mind, an AFA 80 is like $1,500 max, maybe $1,800, somewhere in that ballpark. But when you start getting into AFA 85, that's where the stuff really goes nuts. There's only one example graded higher according to the population report. And so, again, going back to Hakes, they did a good job of using the data that's available now from the AFA population reports to help pump these sales. And I really think it makes a big difference now that we have how many AFA 85s there are, how many AFA 90s, things like that. when it comes to marketing these high-grade items. And the whales, they see this kind of stuff, only one graded example higher, and it plays a role. Whether someone who has the kind of money to drop $4,500 on this, whether they pay $2,500 or $4,500, those, oil barons in Saudi Arabia, they don't care. They literally don't care. It's like between paying $10 and $20 for them. They don't particularly care when you have the deep pockets that some of these collectors have. This was another interesting one that we spoke briefly about. This was a 31 back A Han Solo, but it was on an Empire Strikes Back card, and it was a small head Han, AFA 85. This is the single highest graded example. And again, they had the value code at 5 to 10. It came in at 84.37. It's a one of one. Someone's going to pay it. And that's a very rare item to get a small head Han on an ESB card bag. If I'm holding a small head Han on an ESB card bag, you got to love these prices, no matter what your grade you have, because this is a rare item to see a small head Han on an Empire Strikes Back card. All right, I got to talk about the Cloud Car pilot. Dominic R. was saying, why did this one go so high? They had the value code at $700 to $1,000. And if you remember in my preview video, I said, that's too low. That's too low. And I was proven right on this one. It sold for $55.87. $55.87. Now, it's the debut card. It was unpunched, and it was clear blister. There was an AFA 80 that sold last year for about, I think it was between $1,100 and $1,300. You could go back and look it up on Hakes closed auctions. I don't remember the exact number. It was in that ballpark. But it was an AFA 80 or 80 plus, something like that. AFA 85, it went for $55.87. So this is an example of one where I can't explain it. All I can say is that it's the debut card and it's clear blister. It's very tough to find clear blister. And it's just an incredible item. Now it said card partially punched, but hang tab remains in place. But no way I'm paying $55.87 for it. I was thinking max it would go $1,500, maybe if the market's really frothy, it would go to $1,800. No way it would touch $2,000. And it sold for $55.87. So, oh God, it's just unbelievable. Unbelievable. I've got an AFA 80 plus yellowed blister. I paid $575 for mine, which is fair, right? That's a fair number. But again, clear blister for this is very tough to find. And that is absolute insanity. Here's another rare one. This is the Forlom on the 48 back A. Not the C or the B. This is the A. And this is the true debut card for Forlom. There's not many of these out there. And again, it's only an AFA 60. I had no idea it was going to sell for. The value code was 20 to 35,000, which, again, I had no idea. It could sell for that or it could not. I don't know. But it did sell for $18,892, which is absolutely mind-blowing. There's only 4 examples in total that have been graded by AFA for the 48 back A true debut card. It's the rarest Kenner Star Wars production figure, according to Hakes. Unbelievable item, and it sold for $18,892. So it did come in lower than their value code, but it was lower grade. And I said in my preview video, I said it's going to take a special somebody who really has to have it to pay $35,000 for it, which is the upper end of the value code. I didn't think it would touch that. If I'm being honest, I didn't say that. I don't think in the preview video. I think it would take somebody really special. It would really take 2 people. It takes 2 to tango to get to those kind of prices, and they didn't get it. But it still sold for $18,892, which is, to me, still an impressive number. I mean, let's not beat around the bush here. It's a Forlom AFA 60. It is the debut card, but I think still that's a very solid number, in my opinion. Some proof cards. I didn't show all of them, but I got the Boba Fett. This was an incredible proof card. The value code was 5 to 10. I said it's going to blow through that number, most likely. It did. It sold for $14,160. AFA 85 Revenge of the Jedi proof card for Boba Fett. Not terribly surprising on that one. The Yoda was an AFA 85. The value code was 2 to 5. It sold for $3,000. I actually thought that was a good deal. That was a very good deal. There weren't a ton of good deals in this auction, but I thought that was a very fair deal. It wasn't a steal, but it was a very fair deal for what that is. It's very tough to find the Yoda in high grade on the Revenge of the Jedi proof card. It's one of the main heroes. You routinely see these kind of sales prices for Luke's and Leia's and Han's, Darth Vader's, R2-D2 for the Revenge of the Jedi proof. So I think $3,000 was very fair. On the other end of the spectrum was an AFA 95 IG 88 single score. Okay. And the weapons were still in place. Everything was still legit about the 95 grade. Clear blister. And the value code was 2 to 5,000. I was like, $2,000? Huh? But, you know, an AFA 85 in this would probably be at most 800 to 1,000, in my opinion. It sold for $57.11. $57.11. So there are crazy people out there willing to pay 3 to 4 times or 5 times what a AFA 85 would sell for. And that's proof of it. You know, that we've seen that many times, not only at Hakes, but on Heritage and elsewhere. Incredible item there. Here was an AFA 90 Han Solo. This one sold for $19.47. I've seen AFA 85 sell for this price, so that was a good deal. If you're asking me which one would I rather have at the price paid, okay? The AFA 95 IG88 for $5,700, or the AFA 90 Clear Blister Han AFA 90 for $19.47. I'd take the Han all day long. I thought that was a really good deal. Single score AFA label, but the weapon's still taped in place. It's still a legitimate AFA 90, and you're getting it for $3,000 less, plus, you know, $3,700 less than what the IG88 went for. Again, I've seen AFA 85s go for this price, so I think that was a very fair price and a good deal. Next up, on the other end of the spectrum, was this one. Calling the Rancor Keeper from a few sessions back over at Hakes. Remember that AFA 85 quote-unquote clear blister that had yellowed since grading? Well, we've got a Prune Face 77 back A, which is a very common item, graded AFA 90 clear blister. You can see very clearly that it has yellowed since grading, and they noted that. They noted that in the auction description. AFA 90, it sold for $7,788. The value code was right, okay? The value code was $400 to $700. That's what it's worth, okay? That's what this item is worth, is $400 to $700 max. I personally would not pay $700 for this. I personally wouldn't even pay $500 for this. But someone paid $7,788 because they're not looking at the AFA labels, and they're not looking at the item relative to the AFA labels. So, I don't know what to tell you. You know, this is an example of someone who does not buy action figures regularly, who does not understand the concept of buying the figure, buying the mint on card, not buying the grade. And that's fine. You know, if that's what you want to do. There's 2 different people out there that bid this all the way up to $77.88. Absolute insanity. On the other end, I thought this was a steal. This was an absolute bargain. This was a 77A Princess Leia Organa yellowed AFA 85, and it sold for $17.52. That's a bargain. We've seen lower graded examples go for $2,500 to $2,800, not only on Hakes, not only on eBay, but on Facebook they sell for $2,500 to $2,800. So someone got an absolute bargain here. It was a punched example, but so what? The Princess Leia on a Return of the Jedi card back is very tough to find, and that one was a great deal. Only 3 examples graded higher, according to the AFA population report. The value code was 2 to 5. I was thinking it would go to 3,000, 3,500, somewhere in that ballpark. That's probably fair market value, if you ask me. It sold for $17.52. That was a steal, an absolute bargain of a deal to me. I think it's worth at least $1,000 more than that, in my opinion. Some tri-logos. This was a blue saber Luke on a tri-logo card back. And this one, let's see, this was an AFA 70, very rare with the blue saber. Only 2 examples in total have been graded by AFA, according to the population report, with just 1 higher. So this is 1 of 2. The value code was 2 to 5. It sold for $49.32. So that one was a big number. It's not a number I personally pay, but I understand why. You know, the blue saber Luke, small blister, Very cool item. I thought this was a bargain of a deal, and I would pay this price all day long. This was a Hollow Cheeks Meccano Tusken Raider on a tri-logo. This is a 1 of 1 on the population report. The only known example on a tri-logo, and it only went for $27.25. When I say only, I know that's a lot of money, folks. I know that. But to me, to get the 1 of 1, Hollow Cheeks Tusken Raider on a tri-logo card back for $27.25 after the buyer's premium, oh man, that's a good deal. That's a very good deal. We've seen just standard 65 back Bs on the Kenner US cards that are high grade, admittedly, that go for $1,100 to $1,500. But to get a tri-logo 1 of 1 Meccano no COO Tusken Raider on on the tri-logo for that price, that's a bargain. That's a really, really good deal and a steal, if you ask me. There were plenty of Lili Ledys. I didn't include all of them, but here was the R2D2. That one sold for $6,900. That one was an AFA 60. This was a cool one. This was a Bib Fortuna, but it had unpainted pupils on the Lili Ledy card back, graded AFA 70 plus. Bib Fortuna is like a ginger, all right? He's a red-haired ginger. He's got no soul, and he's got no eyes. Look at this. He's got no pupils. He's got no soul. I don't trust anybody with no pupils. I wouldn't trust Bib Fortuna as far as I could throw him. And he was kind of a Weasley little guy anyway in the movies. That one sold for $54.64. Towards the lower end of the value code. To me, I guess that was fair. I don't know. To me, that seems like a pretty good deal. That was the green-robed Bib Fortuna as well. It wasn't the Burgundy Cape. I would think the Burgundy Cape would get closer to that $10,000 number, if not above that, for a mint on card example. The Luke Bespin on the Lili Ledy, that was an AFA 80. The value code was 10 to 20. It sold for $11,858, towards the lower end of the range, but that's still a big number. Don't get me wrong. That's a big number there. One of only 3 examples in total graded by AFA. If I had the deep pockets, if I had won the lottery, that's a number I'd pay. Quite honestly, that's a number I'd probably pay. Let's see. This was an interesting sale. So this was all the full run of the retail release Power of the Force coins in high grade. They were all AFA 85s, I believe. Let's see. AFA 85 graded set, and all 62 coins, and it sold for $41,536. That's a big number. The value code was 20 to 35,000. $41,536 for the entire set of retail release coins. That's pretty interesting sale there. Here was a prototype Luke Jedi Knight, Star Wars Jedi Knight prototype mail-away coin graded AFA 90. The value code was $2,000 to $5,000. And this one was, you had to send in proofs of purchase. So this is a 63rd gold-colored coin to be issued, but this was a prototype example. The prototypes were produced in metallic gold and aluminum, as offered here. Few of these prototypes are known to exist. The front of the coin shows 2 hands holding a lightsaber, and the back of the coin describes so it's not a Luke Jedi Knight, it's just Jedi Knight, okay? And it describes the role of the Jedi Knights in the Star Wars galaxy. So the value code was 2 to 5. It sold for $13,953 for one coin. One coin for $15,000. Absolutely insane. Here is that Nikto on the Power of the Force card, graded AFA 85, single score. This was only available down in Australia and New Zealand, I believe. And this one the value code was 10 to 20. It sold for $19,325, Australian only exclusive, with the mismatched Warwick coin inside. So that's a pretty famous figure, but very, very rare. Only 8 examples in the AFA population report are graded yellowed 85, with none higher. Wow, what an awesome item. Here was, I thought, a pretty fair deal for what it was. This was an AFA 85 R2D2. Now, I think there was an AFA 85 Plus that just sold from Gold Star Tech on eBay, and it sold for $2,800. This was an AFA 85, and it sold for $2,591. Maybe a little high. You could probably, in all fairness, get it on eBay in this grade for closer to that value, the upper end of the value code of $2,000. So that was maybe a little bit of an overpay, but not a terrible deal relative to that one that just sold. That was an AFA 85 Plus on eBay. I think a lot of people were probably using that data point for bidding on this one. And this is not a terribly uncommon item. They didn't include the population report, but there's a lot of them in an AFA 85. Here was an AFA 85 Droids card back for Boba Fett. That one sold for $11,269. Again, that's one that's come back down to earth a little bit. We've seen some crazier prices last year and even the year before, and it's been slowly working its way down in price. But I did think it would sell for at least $10,000, and it did. It sold for $11,269. You know, probably a year and a half ago, this was $15,000 to $18,000. So this one has really come back down to earth. The Size From, that was a beauty. AFA 85. This one shocked me. The value code was 2 to 5. I was thinking $3,500 to $4,000. It sold for $5,500. Again, not a terribly uncommon mint on card, but it is tough to find an AFA 85. So, you know, there were some people that are willing to pay a little bit of a premium to get that AFA 85. So that was pretty awesome. Only 3 examples in an AFA 85. So again, I can understand why someone was willing to pay $5,500 for that. Given that we've seen loose, ungraded examples for just the figure get as high as $1,200 on eBay, $5,500 for an AFA 85 mint on card doesn't seem like a terrible overpay to me. It's more than I'd pay, but again, I don't have the pockets for this kind of item. Next up, I thought this was a pretty good deal. This was an AFA 85 mint and sealed box A-Wing fighter. Only 8 examples in an AFA 85, and it sold for $27.97. I mean, that's a bargain. That's a bargain given that I've seen AFA 75 pluses go for over $2,000, $2,200, $2,300, $2,400. To get an AFA 85, to get one of only 8 mint and sealed box for $2,800, that to me is a really good deal as well. And, you know, there were plenty of other big data points throughout this auction. I didn't want to go through everything. I mean, there were lots of baggies and things like that. Beautiful, beautiful items. I've talked to a number of you that have bought, that did win some items in this auction. And again, shout out to Hakes for putting together a really good, they did a good job, not only with the auction itself, it was very smooth running, but there were constant reminders. There were YouTube videos. There was Facebook posts. There were Instagram posts. I got emails regularly, and they just did a top-notch job selling. And I've said this before in other videos. If I was going to sell my meager collection, it couldn't even touch this kind of collection. But if I was going to sell my meager collection and I wanted to use an auction house, I'd use Hakes. They just do a great job. And again, I look forward to talking more about this along with other discussion topics in the 5 Idiots Talking Toys live stream on Sunday at 9 p.m. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave me a like, as it does help out with channel algorithms. Thank you as always for watching, and I'll be back soon.